Hi, welcome back to Speakerstack Music. If you're new to the channel, then please consider subscribing. It'd be great to have you on board. And again, if you find this video helpful, if it adds some value to your production and work in Ableton 12, then please consider giving it a thumbs up or a like. It would be great. It only takes a second, but it will just really help us push these videos out to more people, to grow the channel. And we are slowly creeping forward towards about 100 subscribers, which is fantastic for a small channel like this. And I'm really, really grateful for everyone who's listening and watching these videos and hopefully who's getting value out of them. I really appreciate every one of you that's subscribed and that's watching these videos. So, okay, we're going to crack on. So we're going to, with this video, we're essentially going to create another beat template in Ableton 12, so that we can build up a library of drum beat templates that we can use, go in and actually select and create a song from scratch from. And it's really a way for me to get around a bad habit, I guess, of actually diving straight into creating the guitar parts and the melodies in a song and then leaving the drums to the last minute as an afterthought. Maybe just putting a guide track in, but really just having the drums as an afterthought. There's a secondary thing, and then I come to them and I'm like, oh, I'm struggling then in terms of how to embellish them, etc., etc. So I'm trying to get away from that habit by building the song upwards with the drums as the starting point, or at least having a decent beat in there as a template that I can click on and then start the song from as a build, and then kind of build the song up from there. Maybe embellish the beat, but really just have a good solid beat as a starting point. We've done a few others that are created as part of a playlist. There are others in this playlist if you want to check those out. They're more rocky. In this one, we're going to do something that's a little bit more funky, and we're going to have a look at the breakbeat section in a song by the Soul Searchers called Ashley's Roach Clip. And this is a kind of a funky soul track. It's a great track. It's got a bit of a shuffle drum beat, but the thing about it that is most kind of interesting and awesome is that about 3.5 minutes into the song, everything drops out and you've just got a drum beat, and it's a breakbeat section, and it lasts about 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. And if you go onto YouTube and play this, you'll see that it's the most played section of the song. It really spikes at this point, so you'll really notice it. And that's been sampled by lots of hip hop artists like Eric B, Run DMC, but more recently, well, not that recently, but kind of, I guess, more contemporarily, by EMF in their song You're Unbelievable in the 90s. I'm going to give you a blast of it, and I think as soon as you'll hear it, it'll be immediately recognizable, probably as that EMF beat that they start their song off with. Awesome stuff. So really dead easy this to set up, and I'm sure like me you can almost hear that piano coming in. It's a great funky beat, really simple. I'm going to show you how I've made it, but before we just crack on, just a couple of housekeeping things. You'll notice the time signature is 4/4, so we're looking at 4 beats in a bar. We've got the BPM set at, I think it's 102 BPM, so kind of moderately fast beat there, or groove. The third thing to mention is that what I've done with this is I've used a pre-created Impulse drum kit that I've done. So I'm not going to show you how I created that Impulse drum kit in Ableton today, but if you are interested in how to create your own drum kit in Impulse, and Impulse is one of the devices or instruments in Ableton that you can use to create your own kit, then there'll be some links at the end of this video you can click through to them, and I think there's a 3-part video series I did a number of months ago where I kind of broke down how to create a drum kit in Impulse in Ableton. Essentially what you're doing with that is, rather than using one of the preset or pre-created kits that you can get from the Ableton suite, where Ableton have decided what samples should go in that kit, and also you're very limited then. You put that kit on a single instrument channel, and anything you apply in terms of the effects to that channel tend to be applied universally across the kit. Instead of doing that, you're building your kit up from the ground. So you're creating a separate instrument channel for each of the component parts of the kit. And they're down the side here as separate channels. And within that, you can then really drop your own particular preferred samples in and create the sound of the drum kit according to what your favorite samples are. So you might have kick drum samples. You might have a particular kick drum sample that you really like, that you want in the kick. But you might have a snare sample that you like, that you also want in the kit, that's not actually in the actual pre-designed drum kits that Ableton has. So you can really create your own sound. And most importantly, you can actually go in to the instrument channels, each part of the drum kit, and actually put your own effects in. So you can EQ each part of the drum kit in a different way. You can add reverb to certain parts of it without needing to put it across all of the kit, because you probably don't want it on your kick drum, but you probably do want it on a bit of snare, and you probably do want it on some of your hats. So you can do cool things like that. And of course, if you do want to apply global parameters, you can create a group, which I've got here as drums, and you can drop all of those channels in, and you can still do that wider global parameter around the entire kit. So you can see I've got an EQ8 and a glue compressor on the group. So that's the third thing to say, and then there is one more thing just to say, and then I will plow on with what we intended to cover in the video. And that is that in doing this, because we're dealing with the breakbeat sound, I'm applying a principle which I've kind of researched a little bit on YouTube, and drummers use this, and it's kind of a principle or a way of counting the beats. And we're going to be using 16-step drum beats or 16th note grooves, because that enables you to kind of hang off that 4/4 beat a little bit and just funk up the sound a little bit. So it's brilliant for break beats or funky beats that you want to put in. And so I'm going to be adopting that principle, and I'm going to be explaining how I have created the beats in Ableton in these clips. Each of these is known as an individual clip, using that count or that principle, if you like. So those are the four things. Now let's plow on and have a look at each individual part of the kit. So the first one is the kick drum. You'll see that we've got 4 clips. Each of these corresponds to a clip across the top and then on each line. They're all the same. So this duplicates that. All the next 3 duplicate the first one. So I just wanted a bit of music there for playing it back, a bit of time across a number of bars. But really we just need to look at the first bar. So the first bar of the kick, I've just clicked on the clip, sorry, not the click, the clip, and you'll see that it brings up this image down here. This is the clip view in Ableton, and you'll see that we've got some numbers across the top here, and we've also got some square boxes down here. So these correspond to where we position the beats in the bar. This is an entire bar, and a clip corresponds to a bar as well, because down here you'll see that we've got that set up as the clip is 1 bar in length. So within that bar you'll see that we've got all these different squares, and you can use those with this button up here. Click on this pencil icon and you can actually draw in the kick beats where you want them. The numbers across the top are helpful because they tell you where the beats are in the bar. So you've got the first beat there, then you've got a second beat here, so that's the second beat in the first bar. That's your third beat in the first bar, and that's your fourth beat in the first bar. But you've also got half beats here, 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 and here. In terms of the beat lengths, you've also got quarter beats, because what you're essentially working with as a 16-step drum beat pattern is 4 quarter beats within each beat. And then you've got your 1, your 2, your 3, and your 4. And then you've got your second, 2, 3, and 4. Then you've got your third beat, 2, 3, and 4. Then you've got your fourth beat, 2, 3, and 4. The way that that's described by drummers is you would say 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A. I don't know what the E stands for. I have Googled it. It still didn't tell me. So if anyone knows, then please post it in the comments. Any drummers out there? Obviously, you're dealing with a guitarist here who's learning about how these things are counted. So hopefully I'm explaining it well enough for people who aren't drummers to get an idea of how to put this in. So you'll see with the kick drum, we've got 4 beats, but they're not square on each of the beats in the bar. So we've got the first one on the first beat, but then the second beat is just behind the second beat in the bar, if you like. And then the third beat is actually on the half beat in that second bit, and then the fourth beat is on the E bit of that third beat. So you've got a 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. So the emphasis is on the 1, is on the A, is on the and is on the E. But not all within the same beat. So the first 2 are in beat 1, then the third is in beat 2, and then the fourth is in beat 3. And I guess that just gives it that funky feel, because the beats are hanging off that kind of main 4/4 beat, which gives it that kind of shuffle feel, that breakbeat feel, which is exactly why this particular section of that Soul Searchers song has been sampled so much. So that's the kick. Then moving on to the snare, I'm finding with the snares in all of these videos that I'm doing around these drum beat templates is that they are pretty much bang on the money on the second and the fourth beat. So really straightforward. You've got one on the second beat there, and you've got one on the fourth beat there. I could make these clips a little bit longer just by dragging them out here a little bit. I'm not sure what difference that would make. Again, you can just play around and decide whether you want the snare to be short and snappy or whether you want it slightly drawn out. So I want it slightly snappy, so I'm just going to bring that back. But yeah, really straightforward, the snare. In fact, all of this is really easy. You're probably drawing it in as we're going along. Then we're moving on to the closed hi-hats. Again, very straightforward. You've got a hi-hat beat on each of the main beats. You've got one on the first beat, the second beat, the third beat, and the fourth beat. Then you've also got a beat on the half beat here, and a half beat here, but you're missing out the half beat in that third section of the beat. So after the third beat, there's no half beat with that closed hi-hat, because if you move on to the open hi-hats, the open hat is filling in the gap that's in the closed hi-hat section. So there's the gap. There's no half beat after that third beat, but there is a half beat after the third beat on the open hi-hats. And that's what gives it that kind of breakbeat feel. It's kind of cutting into the groove a little bit, just funking it up, that kind of stop-start kind of feel. So again, open hi-hats, dead easy, just looking at one beat there, and again you can draw it in, which is what I've done. And then finally we've got some tambourine, and that is again on every beat, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then on every half beat, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm just going to give you another blast of it so you can see how all of that comes together, but as you can see it's dead easy, but it sounds really cool. Awesome. So in terms of transparency with you, I think having played that back, I would probably want to mess around with the sample sounds. I'm not massively happy with the hi-hat open sound, so I probably want to go into the instrument channel. You can see the impulse instruments here. Go into where's the view? The device view. Is it the device? Well, it's the browser. Still getting used to Ableton 12. And then go into the sample section, which is here, and then you can type in open hi-hats, and it will bring you up a list of the different samples, and you can audition them by clicking on them, and then you can click and drag them across in, and then that will change the sound. So cool, that's essentially it. I hope that's been useful. I'm going to show you finally how I save the set as a template. So if you go to File and then go Save Live Set as a Template, you can see it will then create you another template here, which is ready to be named. I'll probably name it something like 90s EMF funk rock beat or something like that, because that's kind of the most contemporary way it's being used, if you like. And then when I then decide that that's the kind of track I want to create, I will then be able to find that template, click on that template. It will then open up an entirely new song using that template, but it won't actually change the template sound that you've got, or template that you've got. but you can then use that template in a new set, rename it as something new song, and actually build your new song from the foundation upwards, using the beat, getting the beat right, and using that to kind of direct the sound, direct the groove, and direct the other instruments, which just sounds like a different way of working. It's probably just going to throw things up in the air and actually get me thinking about getting the beat and the bass down, you know, get those foundation parts of the track down first. So I'll finish naming that in a second. And in terms of the kind of tracks I probably want to use this on, I think if you're doing a cover of the EMF track, that's an obvious one. If you're doing a cover of the original, that's another obvious one. If you're looking at something that's a bit more funky, then you could use something like this again, or it may be even hip-hoppy, then again you could use something like this. So it's that kind of sound that you're looking for. It's got a mid-range tempo. It's not too fast, but not too kind of lopey. Those are the kind of tracks I would probably use it for. And I'm really looking forward to kind of going in there using this and creating some songs within the future. And I hope you will too, and that you found it useful. So again, you know, if you have found the video helpful, then please consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be great to have you as part of the Speakerstack community and have you on board. The channel's growing very slowly. And again, if the video's been of value, then please like the video or click on the thumbs up, and then just make sure that the YouTube picks that up and then pushes it out to more people who might be searching for stuff like this. So I hope you found it useful, and I really hope see you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching.